The human mind is built on knowledge. What is knowledge? Well, it is what you know. Where does that come from? It is learned. It is remembered. It is educated. Is it true? Might be, but does not have to be. It's the stuff of memory. It can be true, right, wrong, up, down. It makes no difference. Knowledge is stuff you know. What you know is what you know. Where is what you know held within a human being? In the area of thinking. Thinking is the brain's movement within its field of remembered knowledge. This process is natural to us, although unnatural in its behaviour. It injures all of our lives, brings us to conflict. We have likely always lived this way, utilising thought inwardly as a means of self-interested endeavour and pursuit in time, against another, doing exactly the same. We have been educated to this patterned mode of living for centuries. 12 years of memorising during school conditions every one of our brains to approaching life through a pattern of remembered experiences. This educated psychological approach to life goes on to divide us between each other. These divisions are held within our knowledge, which is held within the automatic and constantly moving machinery of our daily thinking. Our thinking, therefore, is our biggest danger for our global stability, because our thinking is divided between loyalties to nations, religious beliefs, ideologies, and political persuasion. Our thinking is divided between wealth and belief, and dogma and identity, and nationality and name. Without this movement of inner mechanized thinking, this self-interested, ambitiously pursuing into the future movement of my visions against yours, would we not be living a different kind of life? What kind of life might we be living had we not all been conditioned to live for our isolated future glory, in a state of competition against all others, valuing myself as the central and most important figure? If school had introduced us to a sense of cooperation and working together, instead of a sense of competition and standing on each other, would we not today, out of necessity, be enjoying a more peaceful and less self-interested world? Would that not be of immense benefit to each of us? Does it truly benefit humanity to have a few people in command of so much power and so many of us? Or is humanity not a more glorious affair when every human being is provided his God-given place and his life to live as he see fit? We cannot all be billionaires, and most of us are not in the slightest bit interested in being one. We are, however, all interested in living a life where we can feed our children, and we are all interested in living in a manner which will ensure that our children's children will have a home to inhabit in their shared future. That we are not so greedy, selfish, isolated, and self-interested today that we turn our back on our communal sinking ship in favour of self-interest. Self-interest is a movement in and of desire. Desire is blind and causes us so many problems. We see only one side of desire. We see a positive. We see a benefit. We desire. We run after. We get. We feel enriched. We run again. We desire more. This is a movement within deep selfishness, common to each one of us, educated into us. It has been delicately placed inside our brains. Our capitalist society needs its diligent workers, consumers, and producers. The reason, perhaps, why. Our education seeks to instill within each child a strong awareness of a sense of their becoming in time, a feeling of growth towards a future state. This is the foundational structure of our examinations in school class, which every child must prepare for continuously and endure for at least 12 years. When the brain repeats over and over again the very same activities, it becomes accustomed towards living in those activities and will even come to miss psychological activities, even if the activity be harmful to the brain. Think of drug addicts. Think of antisocial behaviour. Think of all addiction and all self-harm. Our brains gain a sense of security in a continuity. What continues to the brain is not so important as the fact that it maintains a continuity. This need for continuity is building into a future, the foundation for which was surely laid during the 12 years of progressive and accumulative problem-solving education. The problem-solving side of our education becomes, in our lives, something of a problem. Our brains are like sponges as children, sponges to repetitive behaviour, like dogs which can be taught new tricks. Our brains are able to be conditioned and programmable. What we repeat becomes a security to our brain and can even be missed in time, even if not the best situation for life. Think of women who remain in abusive relationships. Our brain, above all else, in part due to an unquestioned education, have become problem-solving, time-bound, self-interested little machines of competitive achievements. Rooted in divisive histories, divisive continuities, battles, and progressive desires. And our desires naturally come to conflict against each other. This is our daily battlefield of human life. This is why we forever spend trillions on weapons which kill our children, as our hungriest of children still die 1 every 5 seconds from starvation, as our richest jet into space. Do you see how we are all living so dividedly? No one is interested in any other. Could there be relationship to how we have all divided within our classroom years? No one alive today can surely deny that our brains have been conditioned and programmed. The incessant automatic movement of words and images flowing through the vessel of memory in the human brain operates morning to night, daydreams and night dreams. Our thinking pulls in many different directions, our senses constantly seeking stimulation, seeking more money, more wealth, more, only for the sake of more. There is no ceiling to more. There is no destination. There is no point even of an arrival. And as more becomes more colossal, less begins to be seen everywhere. The more of our giants continues to pursue their stratospheric more, removing more from the mouths of babes who have less and less and less. More is not the winning philosophy of success for humanity it has been touted to be by our industrial education designing warmongering giants of industry of previous centuries. If we keep all aiming for more on this now resource-starved planet, where all of us are aiming and opposing desirous directions, all seeking our more. We are going to soon find the day when we awaken to a communal, massive headache. We are going to end up with some humongously large tax haven, accessible to only a few, a resource and life-starved planet, and wars and conflicts everywhere. This is the direction we are communally aiming in, if we are to continue today as business as usual, dog eat dog, accumulate as much as you can to yourself, in battle against all others. This leads us to a world of a few men in this world of amazing power, an ability to live lives of gods, and a totally dangerous and resource-starved planet for all others and all other life. It seems that our brains, educated as they have undoubtedly been, to brutal competition, to self-interest, to living life accumulating in time, to living life in memory, may be the catalyst for the end of the continuity of the entire human race. Can we not see where we are headed towards? Every year, the amount we spend on armaments increases. New atomic bombs to replace the old ones, capable of destroying now all life here thousands of times over. Why are we not alarmed? Is it because we have accepted brutal conflict and war as a required component of our progressive lives? Have we given up? Surely we live this way because we have evolved this way. We have evolved into divisions, and we seek security today, beginning from a foundation of a hostile historic stance against another, which is obviously an impossibility. We do not view other human beings freely. We view them with the knowledge we carry of them. And what we see depends in great part on the inner workings of our knowledge-based machinery of traditional educated thinking. A Jew sees a different person in a Palestinian than an Australian might, and vice versa. Each of us, following school, is self-based, self-interested, ambitious, and seeking to achieve in continuity and competition against others, carrying educated, traditional, divisive patterns of life with us. Will such a brain be adequately equipped to meet the arising and future immense dangers which are presenting to our race? Will seeking individual self-interested success lead us to the immense intelligence we need to find to bring our now countlessly divided people into unity? Those of us awake enough to view the immense approaching dangers need free our conditioned brains from the mechanism of accumulation and self-interest. This is a constant movement of knowledge within us. Our enemy is within. This is the area which needs the illumination of sight. Knowledge works blindly in darkness and is greatly unquestioned. The action of bringing the light of vision to the inner mechanism of educated knowledge has potential to free the mind from its conditioned, divisive, and automatic traditional daily repetitive behaviours. The difficulty is that these inner movements are learned and traditional movements which often provide a sense of inner illusory comfort and security. This is arduous psychological work, for we are asking the brain to investigate and release itself from a pattern of behaviour it has traditionally always lived within, a pattern it today finds immense security within, for no other reason than the weight of a traditional habitual movement and a compliance, with a never-ending mainstream traditional approach to life. If my aim is to free my mind from the suicidal movements of battling self-interest and the seeking of futile individual success on a planet now environmentally floundering and resource-starved, then I have no other choice than to learn about the operational, automatic structure of knowledge within me, which so limits my life to this brain-numbing pattern of existence, centered on a continuing ideology of me. I need learn about the trap I find myself caught within. I know nothing of this. Nothing. No book can tell me. No philosopher. No priest. No God. No saviour. No guide. No manual. I am alone within a mind which functions in a fashion which is limiting to my life and conflicting to my relationships, and which denies a sense of love and care. This is also a centre of conditioned continuity within me, which my brain, above all else, seeks to grow and to continue. The continuing point is most important to the brain. To continue in success is most valued, but to continue in any way, depressed, anxious, poor, beaten down, abused, just to continue is essential. We are all acting this way, seeking to continue what came before. Look at this movement collectively and understand the immense danger we are in. We are all repeating our lives, patterned from what came before. We must do this because our thinking brains are founded on memory, and memory is the past, and the past may only repeat. And so we now come to repeat our wars, our divisions, our hatreds, and our animosities of each other. We repeat our depressions, our anxieties, our worries and our fears. We repeat our pleasures and our pains. And we never meet one single day where we can just walk into the fresh, unadulterated area of life and breathe deeply and just take in the view. In all our running after our future isolated successes, we clean forgot there is a planet here, which itself is a living being, which is our mother, and which we depend on for this continuity of inner self we all so desperately seek to continue at any cost. What's it to be? Do we go out with a bang? Shall we prefer tax havens over rainforests in our idiocy towards the largest of conceptual selves? Or shall we begin to face the now undeniable absolute fact that something has far gone wrong for far too long with humanity, and that we, living and being, existing as a part of humanity, are living in the only position available to impact and begin to reverse this tragic evolutionary trend? Shall we begin to question and look deeply into that which we have come to call ourselves?